predict a precise prediction of the next maintenance to avoid corrosion or anything that can cause leakages. So, as I've said earlier, I said earlier that is a business model. We have to mitigate our costs and make sure our costs are very low, so that all the oil companies will be able to afford it. As well, we have our prototype. The whole cost of our prototype is 60,000 for the prototype, for the pipeline prototype. And for our drone, we have a drone system, which we have developed two types of drone. We have a quadrocopter and a fixed wing. The quadrocopter has been tested on oil field, and what it does is to drop fluid on the pipeline leakages, pending the time that the response will come. Then we have fixed wing, which is a surveillance drone that can move around and survey the nature of the pipes around the passages of the pipe and send information to the engineers. So then we have a remote control system that will build into an app, whereby they will be able to detect the carbon content around the pipe, the CO2 content around the pipe. They will be able to detect the temperature of the fluids in the pipe. They will be able to detect the temperature in the fluid, and at the same time the flow rates of the fluids from the both end of our flow rate sensors. So, and with this, I would like to show the demo of our project. Please. Here is the website that we developed. This is the home of the fluid guard, and here is the challenges we are solving. Here is the vision, what we are making. We calculated this not based on our prototype. We calculated this based on feed usage. So what is that $10,000 per kilometer? $10,000 per kilometer of pipeline.
Is it cost or what?
Yeah, it's cost. No. Market opportunity. Okay. So then, these are our impacts. The major things in our build up is our technologies. We have developed, this is the prototype, as I've explained earlier. This is the remote control system, and we have our drones. We have our drones model. That we have developed. These are our drones model. We have the quadrocopter, which is fluid eye. Then we have the fluid eye 2.0, which is the fixed wing. This is the quadrocopter. This is the fixed wing. So then the AI model. Another major problem we have is the maintenance of our pipe. If a company does maintain their pipe, they will detect corrosion earlier, and they will be able to rectify it before it leads to spillage. So we have an AI model. That you can impute the type of fluid that is flowing through the pipe, ranging from crude oil, water, diesel, kerosene, and others. Then the temperature of the fluid. If we input this parameter, the fluid density, the humidity, and the ion, and the pipe materials, because we have different pipe materials, we have aluminum, we have copper, we have iron. If we input this here, then we input the date that the installation was made, and we try to trigger the frequency, the number of hours that the pipeline are being used in a day. So let's say we are using 14 hours. They use 14 hours. The fluid runs through the pipeline 14 hours. Then we try to trigger the maintenance. Then we see the result here. As you can see, this is the predicted result. It said maintenance interval is too long. That means we are supposed to reduce the maintenance interval. Then it's suggesting that the maintenance interval should be every 105 days. So with this, they'll be able to know the exact amount of days they are supposed to use the pipeline and do a maintenance. And they are saying the flow frequency within the flow frequency is safe. That means our pipeline is safe for that period. So oftentimes, every time a pipeline is developed, we can use our AI model to dictate the maintenance. And with this, before it even gets to leakage or spillage, that this system will rectify. We would have dictated through maintenance. We would have mitigated the wall of spillage before it even starts. So thank you very much. Now we want to. Okay, we want to yeah. So this is the demo. This is the demo of our flight. This is the demo. Let's show. This is a fish swing. We cannot fly this inside because of safety issue. But we have a video that is showing it. But if we leave this in air, it's going to fly. We have a video that is showing that. So this will survey all the pipelines around us. You understand? So that's that about our drone.
Okay, so thank you very much for the demonstration. It looks good. So on this your drone, okay, anyway, drones, you always have the camera device that will be linked to it that can transmit information to you. Is that what you plan to do with your drone, or what does your drone do?
Our drone will move. Our quadrocopter, it has a payload that drops adhesive whenever it detects a oil spillage. So the payload is hanged. The adhesive payload is hanged and it's dropped on the spot of the spillage, pending the time of the response.
Okay, now this the device that you are putting to monitor the flow. Where is it going to be? Will it be making contact with the fluid, or it will just be on the surface?
It will be making contact with the fluid, like flow rate sensor inputs at the middle of the pipes.
Okay, so
that means to measure the flow rate.
So
into the pipe.
You are sure that the same fluid will not corrode, because that's one of the challenges in these pipelines. The crude oil is very corrosive, for instance.
Yes.
So are you sure that instead of you solving the problem with the crude oil, the thing will not end up eating up your sensor in just one day? What material is your sensor made up of?
The inside a flow rate sensor, we have a blade that is rotating. It's made of plastic.
Made of what?
Plastic.
Can it survive crude oil?
It can survive crude oil.
How do you know?
Crude oil are organic materials, and they are not very hard to dissolve in plastic.
They are not
very hard. They are not very reactive to dissolve in plastic.
Say the one you know. All right. Okay, so thank you. I don't know what anybody was. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Please, a round of applause for Team Fluid Guard. Thank you so much for such innovative presentation. So coming up next is the Team Carbon Smart. Team Carbon Smart.
Carbon Smart. You are jumping to the last one. Yes. Always let us know. That's number 9. No?
I came in.
Who just did now?
Yeah,
you see now, I recorded the wrong one. Okay, I've not recorded yet. I've not done yet. Okay.
No, they've done. They just finished.
No, I'm not done yet. What happened to bridge? You done?
No, they have done.
Okay, the air suit people.
I think
Who did now? Number 8, okay. Number 7 was the air suit service.
no, they have not done. This one, they are yet to come. So, get the
This for this.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Oh, this is fluid, are we? Oh, carbon smart is doing now. Fluid just did now. Okay.
Good name.
The fluid, good content. Whether the sensor will survive. Will survive. But at least people are coming up with more ideas.
When there is enough time, all of them deserve to be sponsored.
Yes, all the people. Maybe what we do is, what we do from next year, we will try to invite the past presidents of the society that are present at the conference to this kind of event. Yes, encourage them and see how to actually push it beyond this kind of thing.
Which one is it? Carbon?
Carbon trust.
Good day, panel of judges. Good day, my fellow students. My name is Afan Anthony from the University of Lagos. So,
Another University of Lagos?
yes, sir. I'm representing Carbon Smart. Next slide. So you can see from here that globally there is 36 billion tons of CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere, and this has tremendous adverse effects in the environment. So we all know that when the CO2 goes up, it causes a blanket which traps heat and thereby increases the average global temperature of the Earth. And you can see that this has caused heat wave in Europe, which resulted to over 170 lives in excess. We also can remember the 2019-2020 when there was a forest bushfire in Australia. So let's bring it locally. Go to the next slide. So locally, you will also notice that Nigeria emits over 100 million tons of CO2 annually, and if you can see, that has also translated to 151 lives lost as a result of flooding in Niger State. And this also happened in the year 2022, where we recorded our major flooding crisis. So now, what are we presenting? We're presenting our solution. Now, I am pitching this as an actual business we can actually monetize, something that can make all of us a lot of money. So what does our system basically do normally? It just does three simple things, which is it captures the CO2, it regenerates, then we get this CO2, which can be used as feedstock for many industrial processes. Next slide. So now, what is the advantage of this over the conventional system, which is the absorption system? This one, we operate a cyclic pressure variation. We don't need any solvents. Minimal heat is required, and it's also more faster and efficient than the conventional absorption process. Next slide. So now, this is our Aspen flow sheet for the entire process.
Whereby we have two modules connected to. Okay, so we have two modules here connected to an industry. What the plan is to retrofit into an industry so that we don't cause downtime. So now, once one system has been activated, CO2 is released, also fuel gas is released into this absorption column. So once fuel gas is released into the absorption column, CO2 is the absorbent, which is zeolite, right? Absorb 99% of the CO2, and nitrogen gas is released into the atmosphere. So now, with our process, let me just quickly overview. With our process, the composition of the feed that we're using is 85% nitrogen and 15% CO2, using industrial standards. So now, once the CO2 have absorbed this, once the zeolite have absorbed the CO2 and are releasing it into our product tank, then we now use this the CO2 gotten from this absorption process and utilize it into other utilization process. So now, the next slide, please. So this modeling, this 2D modeling shows the same process I've explained already, whereby the CO2 is released into the absorption column. Then the CO2 have been absorbed, it has been regenerated and released into, okay, this is the nitrogen released into the product tank. So now, next slide, please. So with the data we have gotten from our Aspen simulation prototype, we have been able to integrate this data into a system which is integrated with IoT sensors and AI-powered system. So now, the data we get, since we're working with an industrial capacity, we are having like 1,000 tons. Then this is the amount of CO2 that have been collected and stored. So now, we have already gotten data that have analyzed and told us that this is the amount of, or the efficiency of our product or our prototype. So this is just an oversight view and insights and recommendation using our AI that I've used. Okay, I'll continue.
Next slide. Okay, next slide. So now we go to, so where is this CO2? Where does it want to use? I think the GenSec of the NSChE he had a speech yesterday where he made mention of the fact that he and the senior managers of his plant make less than 5% of the profits from the sugar production plant. So now in this case, what if we can sell this CO2 to Dangote fertilizer? Because we all know that CO2 is a major resource used in fertilizer production. And you should also consider the fact that where is this source of, where did they source their CO2 from? Usually from steam methane reforming and other sources that will actually produce CO2 into the atmosphere. But in this case, we're actually presenting a solution such that we save Alhaji Aliko Dangote that cost of purifying his CO2. Moreover, this can also be used as a synthetic fuel. We all know that a good, our major source of energy here in Nigeria are usually from fossil fuels. So what if we can come up with a synthetic source of energy whereby that is not, that reduces our CO2 footprint. Moreover, it should also be cognizant of the fact that methanol, which is actually the fuel that will be produced, is produced via this steam methane reforming that has a very high CO2 footprint. So we are profiling this solution such that we can create synthetic fuel, methanol that can be used in the industry, and also methanol that can be used as a fuel. Moreover, this can also be used, the CO2 gotten can also be used in the building industry. Also, and this same purified CO2 can also be used in your food and beverage industry. Like for example, if you have on your table, you have carbonated drinks, it contains CO2 and it needs to be purified CO2. So this is the feasibility of our system. So it is proven in industrial scale. So it has actually been applied. Okay, thank you. It has actually been adopted worldly, and one of the companies is Svante in Canada, and you can also see that it is actually cost effective compared to the absorption process, and so most of the components can be sourced locally. Also, it also has a good environmental effect, whereby in this case we are reducing our carbon footprint in order to reach the Paris Agreement in 2050. Moreover, you also have to go back to the next slide, please, the previous slide. Oh, okay. And which also promotes cleaner air, reaching our SDG 13 goal. So, what's our market potential and visibility? So, due to the energy transition plan, it is estimated that $1.7 trillion will be invested from 2021 to 2060. So, this idea is the first of its kind in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So, this actually situates us at a strategic place that will make us a major beneficiary of most of these investments. So, and more, what are our other source of revenue? The sale of the CO2 product, which I have described earlier, and also there can also be sales of carbon credits. So, next slide. So, our solution will actually meet the following goals: SDG 7, SDG 9, SDG 12, SDG 13, and SDG 17. So, these are our team members. And thank you for listening to me.
You said you are using what to trap your CO2?
Zeolite is the adsorbent.
CO2 source from where?
From, can be a power plant, it can be a cement manufacturing company, it can be any plant, any industrial process that releases a huge that is significant amount of CO2.
Is it cheaper than MEH?
Yes, it is cheaper than that is ethanol amine. Yes, okay. It's actually being preferred. And you can see, we go to the previous slide, we made the comparison between the adsorption process and absorption process, which is the MEA process you just discussed.
Okay. Another question, in the application of CO2, have you thought of supercritical extraction process? Supercritical extraction process in pharmaceutical industry, using CO2 to extract bioactive materials.
We've not considered that.
I did that experiment in Germany. And super, very cheap, because after extraction, you need to do secondary extraction to remove your bioactive. So you just reduce the pressure. The CO2 will just go, and you take your bioactive material.
Thank you for that suggestion, sir.
You can include it.
Thank you. I'm very, very grateful for that, sir.
Yeah. So to add to this, our process too is, as we said before, is a continuous pressure changing system. Yeah. So once we reduce the pressure, CO2 is released out, and once we increase the pressure, CO2 is absorbed by the absorbent. So it's also cheap too and effective.
Okay, so you are saying that it's but zeolite. What's the ratio of the zeolite that you are using in relation to the carbon dioxide that you are absorbing?
The ratio of the zeolite, right?
Yes, in terms of kg to kg, or what is the ratio?
The ratio
because zeolite is one of the major components of the FCC unit of the refineries, and it's very, very expensive too. So I don't know where you did your cost comparison with the MEA, because zeolite is very, very expensive. I know that there are some schools in Nigeria, like Ahmadu Bello University and some other schools, that are doing some projects on how to really get I don't know, maybe the purity of your own zeolite may not be the same thing like the ones they use in the FCC unit, perhaps. Yes, so because zeolite on its own is a project that if you can have a breakthrough, there is actually a lot of works on that, trying to get a breakthrough through to the Dangote oil refinery. Because I said it yesterday during my presentation, the Dangote refinery uses several hundreds of tons in one day in the FCC unit. Yes, so it's a lot of business. That's a totally different ball game. Now, what about the practicability? Yes, very good idea, very good project. What about the practicability of this your process? For instance, as we are in this room now, I want to capture the carbon dioxide that is being generated from this place. The excess carbon dioxide that is being generated. Anyway, you want to tell me there is a balance in the oxygen and all of that. But there may not be a balance because we may not have enough trees here to absorb the carbon dioxide for their own process. So have you done the practical of this thing you're talking about somewhere, or you have just simulated? You just simulated, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
So we have simulated one, and another thing if you want to get the ratio of the zeolite that will absorb CO2, we have to make assessments.
You have to make it, not me.
Yes, I said we.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. We have to make assessments to make a correct finding on the ratio of the amount of zeolite to be using. Right. Yes.
Thank you. Good presentation.
We wouldn't mind. I said we don't mind get back to us as regards partnership.
No problem now, but you need to convince me first that I will be making money. You know me, I like money. So you have to convince me that I will be making money so we can discuss.
Please, a round of applause for Carbon Smart. All right, last but not the least, we'll be taking the presentation for today from the Alchemist. Please, you're up next. The Alchemist, please come with your machines for your presentation. And audience, please try to bring it down a little.
Oh, we are already late.
So you have 10 minutes presentation, and you take questions.
Go on.
Okay. Before I introduce our innovation, I would like to recognize a challenge we all know about. In markets, farms, supermarkets, roadside stores, and even food distribution companies, perishables are spoiled every single day. And this doesn't just affect only farmers, it affects all those who deal with perishables at one point or the other. So every year, Nigeria loses up to 30 to 50% of its harvested perishables before it gets to the consumers, amounting to up to 3.5 trillion naira in lost value. Now, this is the silent crisis of post-harvest loss, and the root of this problem is inefficient storage and lack of affordable preservation system. So our challenge was clear. Next slide. Next slide, please. So our challenge was clear. How do we design a low-cost, off-grid, yet intelligent preservation system that can keep our perishables fresh for weeks or even months before without using electricity? And I'm saying to you this, that the answer to this question is right in front of you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Opala Wisdom, and we, the Akames team from Federal University of Petroleum Resources, present to you our smart hybrid preservation system, a system that combines both the traditional cooling method with modern sciences. Now, this system doesn't just cool the perishables, it stabilizes the cooling, and it's also equipped with a special kind of material, which the second speaker will talk about, that captures the ethylene gas responsible for the ripening process. Okay, a farmer or a vendor, as the case may be, can just be at home and he receives an alert stating that, okay, your banana are at an ideal or perfect temperature of 14 degrees Celsius. And then based on the condition of the ripeness, you have about 14 days left before spoilage begins. This is not an imagination or an assumption of what we intend to do. This is what we have engineered, and this is what we are here to show to you. And we believe that with our solution, we'll be able to save harvest loss and improve food security and reduce food scarcity in our economy at large. So behind this innovation is a diverse and committed team of chemical and petrochemical engineering students, as well as IoT and data analysts, though not currently available. So at this point, to look at the functionality and performance of our system, I will hand over to the next speaker.
Thank you very much. Okay, standing on the existing protocol, my name is Nathaniel Gospel, and as my teammate already said, the aim of this project is actually to reduce post-harvest spoilage, and we are doing that by combining natural cooling method, smart technology, and modern science. So first of all, I'm going to start with the compartment of this prototype. So next. Okay, now from what is there, you can see that we have charcoal here. Now charcoal is from the outer and is surrounded by a mesh. Then next to it we have an insulator which is there to prevent heat from entering from the environment. Then after that we have the PCM. Now PCM is phase change material, and as I progress I'm going to explain the role of the PCM inside the role of the PCM in the storage. Now, if you open the storage, you are going to see. So, if you open the storage, you see somewhere where we can put the produce, and on beneath it we have what we call the 18 scavenger, and he has already mentioned it, but I'm going to also describe the role of it too. Now, I'm going to take you through the embedded system control, which is what automates the working of this prototype. Now, the embedded system control consists of the sensor, the microcontroller, and the pump. and also let me say the server too. Now what happens? What we have here is the temperature and humidity sensor. So what it does is that it constantly monitors the temperature and humidity inside the storage. So what happens? It acts like the eye and the nose of the system. So it measures the temperature and humidity, and you see it here. Then the microcontroller takes this data and sends it to our server. Now the server we are using is Firebase. So those data are then analyzed and a command is sent back. For example, maybe when the temperature gets too high or when the air is too dry, it can send a command back to the microcontroller to activate the pump. And what happens? Once the pump is activated, water comes out from the tank and wets the charcoal. Now, this part is actually natural cooling. So what happens? During evaporation of water, after water has wet the charcoal, we'll see that water will, during evaporation of water from the charcoal, the water will absorb latent heat of vaporization from the surrounding, thereby reducing the ambient temperature of the environment by about 8 to 15 degrees Celsius. That is to say, for example, if the ambient temperature is 35, it will tend to reduce it to about, let's say, 20 to maybe 28. But that temperature, or that range, potassium phosphate anhydride. So what we did is that we mixed 1.5 kg of the salt with 1 liter of water to get the solution. And it acts as a cold battery. What it means is that during the night, for example, when the air is cool, it tends to freeze. The melting point is about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. And the reason why we chose that is because the melting and freezing point of that PCM is in the ideal range for preserving perishable fruits. Now, so what happens during the night? When the air is cool, the PCM tends to freeze. And when the PCM freezes, and when the PCM freezes, in hand with a mobile app. So that mobile app will make you to be able to monitor this data from your phone or from your system. Now, this is the mobile app. First of all, you have to sign up. So I've already signed up. Okay. You have to sign up. So I've signed up. So I'm going to just sign in. Okay, it's connected. Okay. Yes. So what you see here, you see the exact temperature and humidity that is showing from the sensor right from your phone. And it also shows you the IoT time, the status of the tap, that is if it's on or off. And what it does is that it predicts the period of time that the produce can stay before they get spoiled. So we have trained it using machine learning, and we use several fruits. We use and inside our cold storage. And what you have here, for example, we have banana here. If we put banana inside, maybe and the banana is unripe, so we can predict the period of time that the banana will stay before it gets spoiled. And what you see here is two different times. Now there are two times there. Now this first time you see here is the time under normal condition, and this other time is the time that is inside our cold storage. So we notice that from here you see that our cold storage extends the period by about 35.6 hours, which is like 20% more. Now what else does it do? From here you can actually control the water system. That is, here we have a manual watering. That means we can decide to water it in the morning and in the evening, twice a day. You can set the time anytime you wish. But aside this manual pumping of the water, the embedded system is set in the sense that once the temperature exceeds Okay, so in some way, I would just say that the embedded system automates environmental control, while the mobile app is there to monitor and predict the storage time. Thank you very much.
Now, you may ask, how confident are we of our market size? Now, if you look at market, that is all those businesses that do storage and refrigeration of perishables. The produce being stored is
What exactly is the science behind your stove? Are you reducing the temperature of the system?
Okay, we are mixing, or we are combining natural cooling method with smart technology and modern science. So the natural cooling method of vaporization for the surrounding, so the ambient temperature will reduce and it will cool the system. So the modern science is the PCM that we introduced, which is potassium phosphate dibasic anhydride that acts as a cold battery. So why we chose it is because its melting and freezing point is about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, which we consider as an ideal range for preservation of perishable products. So after the evaporation of water from the charcoal has reduced the temperature to a certain stage, we know that it will not exceed more than 8 to 15. So it can reduce the temperature by 8 to 15 degrees Celsius. But the PCM will now step in as the cold battery after storing in cold energy during the night to now release that cold energy inside the system, thereby reducing the temperature further to the ideal range for the preservation of the perishable product. Thank you.
So you have demonstrated it with this your items here.
Okay, the reason this thing we are not actually using this. The only reason for this is that this is just there to power the embedded system. So you can use anything to power it. It's just to power the embedded system. So we don't actually need electricity for it to function. This is just once you power the embedded system, it can stay for days. So you don't have to be using just to power the embedded system. It's not working with electricity. Thank you.
What is supposed to be 3, but I'm not sure the cost will be done by 4. Not sure. When they will come to the hotel to speak to you, I will just it's one when you talk to them, but it's another board that is going. No, the venue, the one that picked you from the airport. Okay, Diana Ghana. That one is going to come back to the hotel. Now from tomorrow they have the bigger body. Yeah, I think it's been just before 4, maybe quarter before. Yes. Sorry. Oh, for me? I don't have. Okay, so thank you very much. It's okay, thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for Team Alchemist as they go back to their respective seat. All right, that is the last presentation for today. So while the judges collate their results, we just want to take some cooling music. And please, all the contestants, make sure you are sitting in your seat in front, please. All the contestants, the teams, make sure you are sitting in your seats, please.
Yeah, another thing we need to do is we need to get the average with ourselves so that there's no foul play. Like for instance, if you're only 53. I will that guy out. Stop playing music for now. We are doing calculation here. 79.
So we do that.
So the first one is what?
80.75.
And the second one is
Now you're adding your name. Yeah, okay. Alright, good. Yeah. Yes. These come back 87. The last is the